Say teachers.
Right. I want to start off by welcoming everyone here tonight for the regular meeting of the Iberville Parish Council this Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And we will call to order with a roll call, please.
Allen? Here. Easley? Here. This person. Dominique? Frazier?
Yeah.
Smith?
Yeah.
Pierce? Jenkins? Here. Markins?
Yeah.
Bradford?
Here.
Martinez?
Here.
Darden?
Here.
Jewel?
Here.
Morgan?
Let the minutes reflect we do have a quorum, and we'll let Mr. Smith is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comments must register with the clerk. Next, we're going to have presentations and appearances. We have an audit presentation by Baxley and Associates, Miss Margaret Pritchard.
Good evening, Mr. President and Parish Council women and Parish Council men. Thank y'all for the opportunity to serve the parish again this year, and I also want to thank you for supporting local business. I appreciate all the help that Randall and Stephanie and Ms. Denisha did from the parish office. Also Melissa Bergon from the utility department, David Hall from sales tax, and Ms. Jennifer Seneca from the library. They all did an excellent job in providing us with all the information that we needed and the documents that we need in a very timely and organized manner. First of all, I just want to introduce three employees who I'm very proud of from my office, who also helped me during the audit. I had Miss Alyssa McGrew in the middle, Dixie Daigle, and on the end, Mason Markins. They were all instrumental in helping us do the audit. I would like to begin also by going over the independent auditor's report. Since we have a new parish president and some new council members, I thought this would be an appropriate time. Pages 1, 2, and 3 in your audit report is called the Independent Auditor's Report. This is the opinion that we issue as auditors on the parish council. There are 4 types of opinions that you can have. You can have an unmodified, you can have a qualified, an adverse, or a disclaimer. The parish received the highest level of an opinion, which is the unmodified. That means that based upon all of our audit sampling and transactions that we looked at, we felt that the opinion would be unmodified because the financials are not materially misstated, and we believe that they were true and fair. So basically, on a grading scale of A, B, C, and D, the parish would have received an A+. Okay, so let's begin by looking at page 18, or Statement A. I think you have it on your screen in front of you. This is our statement of net position, which is our balance sheet. And again, I want to look at the total column. The first column is governmental activities, which is your general fund, your debt service funds, your special revenue funds, and your capital projects funds. So you're looking at approximately 38 to 40 funds in that first column. Your second column is business type activity. That's your utility department. So the total is going to be the column we're focusing in on. Total assets for the year is $276,987,916. That's in your third column, total assets. Our total assets increased $13 million over the year 2022, or 4.6%. Some of the reasons for our increase: first of all, cash went up $13 million. Receivables, such as from sales tax and ad valorem taxes, went up $2 million. Pension asset. If you look at where we had pension under assets, you see basically a blank going all the way across. That's because in the year 2022, we had a pension asset of $5.7 million, and that's an actuarially determined number. This year, we don't have that asset. That asset becomes a liability this year. So that's a decrease for the year. Capital assets net, meaning net of depreciation. Your capital assets increased 4.3 million over the prior year. And some of the projects that we had the courthouse security modifications. We replaced meters and improved lines in East Iberville. Road projects on Kirtley Drive, Bellevue Park, capital improvements, White Castle Canal dredging, and of course other various equipment and other park improvements. As you move further down, you see where we have deferred outflows and deferred inflows. Those, again, are both two sections of actuarially determined numbers. The pension relates to your parochial retirement, and OPEB relates to other post-employment benefits. Again, these are required as auditors. We have to put those in the report. They're required by governmental accounting standards. So if you move further down where you see total liabilities, in that third column, $33,140,868. Your liabilities increased $1.4 million over the previous year. And there's a couple of numbers I wanted to point out to you under liabilities. The first one being unearned revenue. You see unearned revenue of $3,657,420. Unearned revenue, that is your ARPA funds that are remaining. As those funds are spent, we move them from unearned revenue into earned revenue. So that is your remaining ARPA funds that have not yet been spent. I mentioned to you about the pension. You will see pension further down, $4,862,604. Again, that's an actuary number. Last year it was an asset. This year they moved it to a liability. And then the other number that caused our, under our liabilities is a decrease in outstanding debt, where you see due in more than 1 year, $16,350,000. That number has decreased $2.4 million. The reason for the decrease is because as we have bonds and notes and leases, we pay principal on it. That reduces our debt. The main section right at the bottom where it says net position, our total net position for the year ended December 31st, 2023, $250,084,957. Our net position in 1 year increased by $20.9 million. So that is, that's an 8.39% increase just in 1 year in your net position. I think in 2022 you had about a $19 million increase, so this year you had a $20 million increase. So let's turn to the next page, or Statement B on the screen. This is our statement of activities. The first column is our expenses, and this is the expenses of our governmental funds. The governmental expenses increased by $7.5 million. So just to highlight some of the funds and some of the areas that we recognized an increase, depreciation expense increased $500,000. General fund expense increased $2 million. Drainage maintenance increased $600,000. Public building maintenance increased $600,000. Sales tax road increased $200,000. Solid waste increased $600,000. Parks and Rec $300,000 increase. Bayou Pigeon Fire Department increased $147,000. Iberville Medical Complex increased $262,000. The 9/11 increased $200,000. And again, the pension, actuarially determined number, increased $2.4 million. That number will fluctuate significantly from year to year. So that accounts for some of the increases in your expenses. Now, if you move further down, you see business type activity, total of $8,620,000. That's your utility department expenses. Now, your utility department expenses increased $590,000. Reason for the increase, salaries went up, repairs and maintenance increased $348,000, and water purchases also increased $176,000. Now, if you move over one column where it says charges for services, that first total, $3,422,135. Okay, that is our governmental fund charges for services. Very small increase there. It's very comparable to the previous year. Move down a little bit, you'll see business type activity, charges for services. This is the income that the utility department recognizes for the services that they provide. $6,699,000. That number decreased $582,000 over the previous year. So the main reason for the increase is because there was a gas decrease in consumption and a decrease in the cost per MCF of gas purchased. Now, the next two columns, operating grants and capital grants, I'm going to look at those two together. You're looking at about $5.4 million in grants, operating or capital grants for the year. very comparable to the previous year, about a $200,000 difference. So very comparable to the year 2022. But where all our revenues are located is going to be further down the page in that right-hand corner where it says governmental activities, general revenues and transfers, that first column, $60,084,109. That is where your property taxes are and our sales tax. That number increased 8.5 million over the year 2022. Reason for the increase, our property taxes went up $2 million, sales tax increased $4 million, and interest income increased $2 million. So that's a significant increase in those items. Next to that is the utility department, general revenues and transfers of 1.6 million. That number increased, but the only reason why it increased is because the general fund made a transfer to the utility fund to help them out of $1,250,000. If you look at that third column where it says change in net position, there's your $20,977,203. So that is basically your net income for the year that you recognize for the year 2023. So based upon those numbers, I would say that the parish has a very healthy financial condition. Very healthy. I want to turn to a couple more pages. Page 152. And that's going to be the next on your screen, Exhibit C. This was the one finding that we had, and it's a budget finding. The condition was in the American Rescue Plan. The budgeted revenues exceeded the actual revenues by 18%. Solid waste actual expenditures exceeded budget expenditures by 16%. And according to the Louisiana Revised Statutes and a Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire, they don't like to see a greater than 5% variance in particular funds and particular departments. So we just recommend that we implement procedures to monitor the budget, to actual comparisons, and amend the budgets as deemed necessary. And then management's response is the American Rescue Plan is difficult to estimate because the funds were transmitted to the parish in advance and revenue is recognized when expended. We had invoices paid after the amended budget, which the budget was presented in October of 2024. And then the solid waste was over budget because of the increase in fuel, vehicle maintenance, and overtime in relation to the boom truck service. Management will continue to implement measures that anticipate expenditures so the budget expenditures do not exceed their expectation. These measures will include, but not be limited to, analyzing changes and inflationary cost expectations so that amendments to the budget are appropriate and done timely. So that's our only finding that we had on the audit. And as y'all all know, the legislative auditors require all governmental agencies to have agreed upon procedures. So this is something that they implemented, I think, about 6 years ago, and we have to do it every year. So with that, they have specific things that they want us to look at. And with that, I only had one exception, and that's going to be on your next screen. And it was in relation to number 2. And what number 2 stated was that in reviewing the minutes, we had to see that every month, the council received a set of financial statements. And there were a couple of months where it just didn't show it in the minutes at the beginning of 2023. But as the year went on, we saw that y'all were receiving the financial statements and reviewing them. So I assume this has already been taken care of. But I did have to state it since I didn't just see it in the beginning of the year. So those are the statements that I wanted to go over with you. I realize it's a pretty comprehensive report. I'll be able to go over with you in any detail at any time. But would y'all have any questions right now that y'all would like to ask me?
Yep. I think it looks real good. I figured out. Really good. So.
Okay.
Get the financial statement as well in the mail too.
Excuse me?
We get the financial statement in the mail too.
Sure. Absolutely.
We do, that's what she had said that we did.
Oh,
It's that
okay.
Yeah.
communication
I got
with
you.
the-
Yeah.
We get the, things.
Just got song, say, but
Yeah.
let it reflect.
Yeah, I just want to validate
Okay.
that we definitely got it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you telling me that.
Yes.
And like I said,
Yeah, we
after
get them in the
y'all
mail.
look at
Yeah.
after y'all review the report, if you have any questions, feel free to call me. Come by the office at any time. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it didn't show up in the minutes. So he has
It
to,
just wasn't in
when
the
he gives his
minutes.
financial report, he should state that
Yes,
I
sir.
sent him out to. But he does that. You do that. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just not. It's not in the minutes.
A+ was great, right?
Yeah.
A plus. You can't get better than A plus.
Yeah.
Well, if y'all don't have any questions, I appreciate y'all having me again this year, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have the reading and approval of the minutes. We need a motion.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Darby.
Yes.
So moved. Next, we have the president's report. Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen of the council. So you have your packet, our president's report. So real quick, coming up real soon, we have our Dancing with the Stars on August 10th, which is a chamber event that is done right here at the Civic Center. So, we have one of yours truly, one of our staff members that is dancing this year. So Kyle Grace has stepped up, and he's going to be performing on behalf of the Iberville Parish Council at that Dancing with the Stars. So I want to let y'all know because we're a few weeks away from that event. So that event's coming up soon. Down to operations. So we do have our surplus, which was discussed a little while ago. In your packet, you do have a pamphlet that advertises all the vehicles and equipment, chairs. I mean, it's just I believe there's over 100 items in the packet that's going to be going on at the Mike Zito Center this weekend. These are items of surplus that we have, and it was approved a little while ago. Well, y'all are going to approve it in a few minutes. So if you're available, come on out. There's a lot of items in it, and it's great for the public. It's another use for us to utilize the Mike Zito Center. The Mike Zito Center is a great facility that we need to take advantage of and do more events at it. And this is one of them that we're starting off is by having our auction that we're teaming up with Low Carb Auctions and Peterson Auctions. Y'all have any questions on that?
Any questions?
All right, moving on. Summer workers. So the summer workers that y'all provided to work through 6-week program throughout this summer is ending this Friday. So if you get a chance, if any of the workers that you recommended, maybe reach out to them, see how their last week is going, thank them for working for the summer. We're going to try to meet up with them on Friday and just tell them, thank them for working the summer. So they did a great job. I don't have this in operations, but in your packet right here is the financial report, and underneath item page 7, which is actually the organizational chart. And I want to mention this because I didn't give you an update yet, but we are working on finalizing the reorganization that chart that we've talked to you about in the past with the emergent method. We're talking about the payroll and the salary structure that they are currently updating. And just to give you an update, and the reason I specified this page is, as you can see, we only have 8 items on here that's a part of the reorganization that's currently approved. And as many of you know, there are so many more director positions that we do have out there. Okay, and I say directors, but main title departments like IPRD, right? That's been added. Council on Aging, sanitation, animal control, IT department, the fire department. All of these organizations or departments have been added throughout the years, but they're not structured anywhere in this org, in the reorg. So we're going to bring that to you hopefully in August. So we had gave that company a 6-month window that we would like to receive the information. We are receiving some of the information as we speak, and we feel comfortable with possibly bringing that to you in August. There's a lot of good information coming from it that we need to get Iberville up to speed. The Grove State Bridge closure. So many of you know, it feels like that it's been 2-3 months already. But here we are, we're a little over 5 weeks into it, operating a pedestrian ferry. So starting tomorrow, we are going to a larger vessel. Some ask, why do we need to go to a larger vessel? Well, the first vessel was only able to transport 6 people at one time, 6 passengers. We're going to a larger vessel. We're 2 weeks away from school's opening on August 8th. So in order to speed up that process, we're going to a ferry, a pedestrian ferry that's going to operate 18, can hold 18 passengers. So it cuts, 3 trips into one, right? So that's why we're moving to a larger vessel. So we also had to change hours. Okay, so some may ask you, why are we changing hours? So there's a particular license that is required to operate a vessel more than 6 passengers. Okay, that is a pedestrian ferry. That license is called a 100-ton captain's license. Okay, in order to carry more than 6 passengers. This vessel operates 18, so therefore it's a totally different license, which is there is not an abundance of captains that have that 100-ton captain's license. So the firm we're working with is going through Coastal. Coastal is the company that is doing the construction and for the repairs for the bridge. DOTD is they feel confident. They're still giving us that 4 to 6 month window that the bridge is going to be closed. But as soon as they get the bridge operational, they're going to bring a tug in place and be able to open and close it for a certain amount of hours a day. So while they're still working on the bridge, they're going to be able to open and close it. And they're starting to maybe even throw the months out there as far as maybe September, October at the earliest that we could potentially be able to drive some vehicles across it. Now, that won't be all the repairs done, but they'll be able to make it operational with a barge. So we are getting some good information from there. The voting precinct changes. Many of you know, everybody that's on that side, it's going to be a huge inconvenience to get across to come and vote. So we are in the process of working with the Secretary of State and our Registrar's Office, as well as the Clerk of Court, to get that done. We do have a community meeting. So if you are available this Thursday, we're doing a community school meeting on behalf of all school systems. We have the Iberville Parish School System, the Iberville Charter Academy, and St. John schools. So all 3 will be at that meeting and participating in hearing the concerns of the residents and seeing what things we do need to meet. As far as the times for the passenger ferry being open, let me backtrack just 1 second. So they can operate for 12 hours a day, a captain's license with 100 tons. So being able to, at their maximum capacity in one 24-hour period is 12 hours. We were able to assess the data that we've collected since we've started the ferry and said, hey, these are the hours that are non-peak, right? The numbers are less. We've had some where, 1 person crossed that pedestrian ferry within an hour period. We have some where nobody crossed it at all. So we took that data and we put it together and chose the best 12 hours out of the shift. Okay, so out of a day. So there is a change where we're open for 4 hours from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. We're open. So hearing some of the concerns, we actually open an hour earlier with this change. So some people said, our employees get there and they say, Chris, sometimes we have 15 people sitting here waiting to cross at 5 a.m. So we saw that the need was there to increase the hour to start at 4 a.m. So we're going to be operating from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. We're going to close for 2-hour gap. Then we're going to open back up at that lunch period from 10 to 12. And then we're going to close again for 2 hours and then be fully operational the whole evening from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the 6 hours in the remaining part of the day. So we're going to be operational for 12 hours. Now, the firm, the company that is controlling that vessel has committed, once if they get another license, another employee that has that license, they are going to be willing to be open the whole day. So this is hopefully just a short term where we're doing these closures, but we didn't want to go for a 3 or 4 hour closure. That would have been an inconvenience for the residents. So we chose those best hours based on the chosen off of the data. All right, next, Miss Easley, you reached out to me and asked me recently about the Bayou Pigeon boat ramp. So they are that much closer. It is the priority, and they told me it's the next item with CRPC that is going to bid. So hopefully within 30 days, that will actually be at bid, and that project will be happening pretty soon. That's going to be a great project for the most used boat landing on the eastern Atchafalaya. All right. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
All right, ladies.
Yes, Mr. President,
Yes.
I'm just curious, do you get any feedback on how our summer workers perform?
Miss Charlene is here. Oh, was here. She had to step out.
I'm just
No, I mean,
curious, you know?
everything I've heard so far was good. We've had them all around the parish. The employees, they were in White Castle and St. Gabriel. We had them right here in Plaquemine. So we did get good feedback when we met with them, and so far, I haven't had any complaints come to my office. So, have you had any complaints?
No, I was just curious, I mean,
Right.
obviously they're all young and they're coming in probably the first time they're working,
Yeah.
so I was just curious on that,
Yeah, and look, I'll be honest with you. Are they busy? We're helping support some of our local kids, right, and giving them a chance to raise some money before they go to college. So not every second that I've seen them when I was visiting every place did they have something to do, but they were working side by side on, with our employees to learn a task or something that maybe they can use when they go to college.
Sure.
So good things. Good.
Mr. President, I had one thing. There's some federal monies that are trickling down to address the orphan wells, abandoned oil wells throughout the state of Louisiana. And I was wondering whether we could team up with the administration and try to send out maybe some letters to try to get some of that money for Iberville Parish. I did a little research. There's 68 abandoned orphan wells in Iberville Parish right now, and there's over 100 in the Atchafalaya Spillway within the limits of Iberville Parish. So you're looking at 168 wells right here in our parish, and I noticed some money. I read some articles where the Wildlife and Fisheries is getting a hold of some of that money, and they cleaning up some of the wells in the Atchafalaya Spillway on property that the state owns. But I think if we could just reach out to them and say, hey, man, we need some of that money for Iberville Parish. So I was just want to bring that to your attention and say, I think there's about 20 million that hit the state already, and I think there's going to be another 120 coming. So from what I've been reading. So
All right.
yeah.
We'll look into it. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I have some.
Miss Allen?
I wanted to tell Mr. Steve, Charlene had sent us a letter. I think Macy emailed us. That was one of our students that was hired for our summer program in White Castle. And her letter, I didn't even realize she had sent the letter. She worked last year. She was a junior because her parent had died. And she got a chance this year to work because of Mr. Matt. And he allowed her a chance. So everything she spoke in that letter, if y'all got a chance to read it, I know it's very emotional. But she just wanted to thank the council for giving her a chance. So.
Very nice.
Very nice. Anybody else?
I just wanted to ask about the grants. When you were talking about that, I know you were kind of looking into getting someone because I feel like there's so much we're missing out on, especially when we went to the conference, talking and leveraging with different people. We're missing out on a lot. So I'm wondering what status.
Yeah, so currently we do get a lot of grants. They're done through our engineering firms and other firms. But there are so many things that we are missing out on. So we're going to evaluate that when we bring the reorganization. That is something that I would like to bring to the parish, just to let y'all know that by hiring a grant writer, if we can get somebody in-house working directly for us day to day, we can get a lot more grants that are out there and available. Now, with that, even if it's anything from 5,000 up to, there's a couple $1 million grants and infrastructure grants and a lot of things out there. So there's a lot more information to it, and as well as with the accounting department, because it's more work on them to. They got to track the data. They have to meet a lot of compliances. So there's a lot of things that go on the accounting side as well. So we got to be mindful when we do go out and get more. The more we get, it's great. But it adds a little bit more on our staff. But we are going to address that. I think it's a win for the parish if we can get any grants that are out there, because there's so much money out there, we're not even tapping into those resources. And we're working on something right now, for example, with the Capital Region Planning Commission, which is a grant for a walkway between So from the hospital all the way to what's the store, but all the way back towards the red light, from the hospital. We have had deaths in the past, so we've already reached out to them. There are funds available, and we've started the process to give them the data. We had 2 employees go last week and present the data of how many accidents have happened. There's no lighting along there as far as walkways, and there's not even a 6-foot pathway for people to either ride a bike or walk. So that's why we've had so many accidents with people walking in the median, really, between the 2 lanes, north and southbound. We've had accidents. So that's another great opportunity, but we've already tapped into that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next we have, Mr. Dunn, financial report.
Good evening, Council Chair, Council Clerk. Speaking on summer workers, we got a success story in here. Mr. Mason Malkins was my summer worker 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And he graduated from some snazzy school, in Alabama, I believe, and got a degree, and now he's working here local in town. So
Good.
there you go. So that's a story right there. So just let the minutes reflect that y'all were mailed the financial statements and y'all had y'all had a chance to look at them. I will say that a lot of those lists were from the beginning of last year, and I had a lot going on at the beginning of last year. So I wasn't at a couple of those meetings, and more than likely probably didn't say, first half of the year with that, let the minutes reflect. So we'll get that straight. Y'all have any questions on your financials? Okay. One thing I do want to bring up in the audit is there was a lot of talk about, I know y'all probably were wondering, in our utility department, that the revenue went down by 500,000. We had a really mild winter. So revenue was down in gas sales. And we also, I guess the flip side of that is the expenses. Now we wasn't purchasing as much, but there's a margin on gas sales, and when the revenue goes down and the expenses go down, the margin goes down. So it's not like we can send gas employees home and furlough people. We still got maintenance and everything else. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on. The other thing is inflation has hit us hard. Utility department is the only fund that is a business. It operates on a business motive. It's not. It's to sell something to the residents of the parish, and you gotta maintain a system. It's not like our general fund where we're, it's a service that we're offering, and we got this guaranteed tax money. Most of the time, guaranteed tax money that's coming in. So inflation hit us really hard over the last couple of years. We're in the process of doing a rate study that's required across the river for this grant money we're getting. So we're going to have the group take a peek at our utility department and see not only, if the rates are where they're supposed to be, but is there, some things that we can cut as far as expenses. When you add capital, when I say capital, when you build a plant, you add let's say you add a $2 million filter system to the water system. You got to depreciate that. So everything you add, there's this phantom number that shows up every year, and it's included in that loss, and it's depreciation. So we don't have that on a fund level, on governmental funds. It's only on a government-wide level. So I just want to let y'all know out of this audit, I guess maybe I'm the guy that's got that looks at the cup that's half empty, not half full. I'm well aware that we had a loss there, and we're keeping an eye on it, and we're gonna, I will let y'all know what needs to be done so that we can fix that. It's on my radar for sure.
Randall, I have a question. Ultimately, we want the gas and the water
To sustain itself. Yeah.
to pay for it.
That's correct. And I will tell you, there was a lot of deferred revenue on the system. There was for whatever reason, it seems like over the last year, there's been a lot of line breakage. The system's getting old. And some of these without going into debt, Iberville Parish is fortunate to be able to help fund some of these, some of these bigger projects with general fund money or capital improvement money. So, the last thing you want to do is get in a bunch of debt. So, but with that said, it does need to sustain itself. Both capital and operating expenses, it does need to sustain itself. So I think we had a mild winter. You had you got inflation, you got a mild winter, you had a bunch of things that happened, but I just want to let y'all know I'm looking at it, and we are about to figure all of this out, as far as, what needs to be done. The budget, the two comments, that seems like the most common thing that we get hit on. And the reason why is because for me, when we do our amended budget in October, I don't want to leave, if I know a project's not going to happen, I don't want to leave it in the budget. Okay. Because it inflates what we think is going to happen for the year. I don't know if that makes sense. So in October, if I know something is just not going to happen till next year, I'm going to amend that budget down because I'm not going to leave it in there. So it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes I amend down and something happens before the end of the year. We'll get an expense or something that comes in. And that's typically, I don't want to present y'all with an inflated amended budget. I think that's crazy to do that. So, I don't like having budget, comments, but it happens from time to time, and that's usually what it is. It's usually, that budget variance issue. I think that was it. Did y'all have any questions on financials or anything else? Y'all know, you can always give me a call.
Getting back to utilities.
Uh-huh.
I was, someone told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I'm ignorant of it for sure, that sewage, it's almost impossible to break even on sewage.
Yes, yeah. There's no money in sewer. Yeah, no, it's just, yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at utilities and you look at it's coming out in the red, I mean, a big part of that is probably sewage, right?
Yeah, and we are in the process we've given probably 3/4 of our sewer, back to Plaquemine in the trade. So those are all, things I'm looking at. How does that affect, how does getting rid of, 75% of our sewer, city of Plaquemine, how is that affecting, these expenditures? And how are we gonna, I'm working on it. Yeah. Another thing you got to remember too is Iberville Parish was not in the water business when it had, we were in the water business, but the utility department wasn't until we started getting rid of the water districts and consolidating the water districts. And then we entered you had a system that's a separate system. They're not interconnected, so the DHA standards, it's got to stay separate. So we've accounted for them separate. So you got a cost of production for water, whether it's a well or it's a surface water treatment plant. Those costs of production, depending if you got to treat the well water, if you got sand filters, it costs more to treat the water. If you just get it out of the ground, maybe chlorinating or whatever, it's going to cost less to treat. So there's different production costs for each one of those water systems. So we're looking at those to see, how do you equalize them? You got production water and you got resale water, which is what we do across the river with buying from Baton Rouge water and reselling. You can't compare the two because it costs more to produce your own water than it does to buy water because you're buying at a wholesale and you're marking it up. So those are all things we're looking at.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dunn. You did a good job.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, next we had new business. We have introduction of ordinances. We had two ordinances for introduction. There's ordinance to sell properties previously declared to be surplus by IPC ordinance 016-17 to neighboring property owners pursuant to the terms of the IPC ordinance 002-13. And I think y'all have, in your package, you should have an explanation of that.
Yeah.
Any questions on it? There being no questions, we just need somebody to,
I make a motion.
make a motion
Second.
to move it forward for, public hearing.
I say,
Second.
Have a second. Have a motion and a second.
Allen,
Yeah.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
So moved. And that will be set for, you have a date on that, Macy?
August 20th.
August the 20th at 6 p.m. All right, the second was an ordinance to establish minimum standards for outdoor storage facilities and contractor storage yards in Iberville Parish. And I think y'all have something in your packet about that. Did y'all have time to read it? Any questions on it? No questions? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Smith,
Second,
and we have a second. Roll call.
Allen,
yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
So moved. Next, we have a motion I need a motion to sign I guess it allow the president to sign a 4-year contract with Baxter and Associates?
So move.
Or is that Randall, that's you? You gonna sign that contract?
So.
The charter says that y'all hire the auditor, and I think usually just kind of do it by motion. You know,
Okay.
just kind of, that's how we've done it in the past.
Yeah, fast,
Yep.
okay, okay. I just need a motion and second to,
Got one.
all right, we have a motion by Nadia Jenkins, and we have a second. That disappeared on me.
Oh, I second, but I
Okay.
might have speed.
Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
So moved. Next, prior to this meeting, we had a resolutions committee, meeting, and it was found favorable to bring forward, 4 resolutions. A being authorizing the president to sign and submit the Iberville Resilient Communities Infrastructure Program, RCIP Disaster Recovery Program proposal to the state of Louisiana for approval under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. And number B was, we're going to do those separate, Macy? You want to do them separate? Okay. Just need a motion, a second to approve, A.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
So moved. B, resolution to declare certain used movable property as surplus property and to be sold at public auction sale in accordance with Louisiana law. Motion and a second, please. We have a motion. And we have a second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins, Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
All right, we had a resolution C, which is a resolution authorizing the parish president to sign grant application requests and all documentation related to funding from the State of Louisiana Workforce Commission Community Services Block Grant, CSBG. I need a motion and a second, please.
Already got it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
All right.
Dart.
Got some giggling going on here. So moved. D, we had a resolution authorizing parish president to sign grant application requests and all documentation related to funding from the Louisiana Housing Corporation Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, otherwise known as LIHEAP. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yeah.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
So moved. Next, just prior to this meeting, we had a boards and commissions committee report, and it found favorable to reappoint Miss Mary Obiate from the town of Rosedale to the Iberville Parish Library Board and Control. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yeah.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Dart.
Yes.
Just wanted to say on behalf of Miss Mary that we're glad to have her back, and she's a great asset to the library board. And there being no further,
I have something I want to speak.
you want to speak?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
something to say.
Miss Allen wants to speak. Yeah, we'll let her speak.
I want to thank Iberville Parks and Recreation, Mr. Airy. I know about community service. I could bring y'all on your cell phone all hours. But on behalf of our community this weekend, we had alumni picnic in Bertha Park, and the weather was terrible. But I thank y'all staff because y'all did come out Monday. They pick up the garbage like they said, and I just want to thank y'all. I know I bother y'all a lot, solid waste. But I just want the person, I know I did call there and thank you, but I just want the person to thank you again on behalf of our community.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, we just need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Make the motion. Oh, we got a motion.
Okay, we got a
Second.
motion and we got a second and roll call.
You can do it by majority, you can say.
Acclamation, okay. Anybody object to adjourn? Good, we
Nah.
meeting adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.